on Thursday, the 14th of December 2023, and I'm the CheapSkateStreamer. You're most welcome along. This morning we're broadcasting live on Telegram at t.me/CheapSkateStreamer, and also on YouTube. For some reason, there we go. It took me a little minute to actually find the link there for the YouTube stream, but it should be up there now. So youtube.com/@CheapSkateStreamer, and that's where you can pick up the broadcast for this morning. Alternatively, it is also being recorded, and I will post the broadcast to the Telegram channel very shortly afterwards. So, first order of business this morning probably should be the link tree, just to show you where you can go to access the other social platforms that I use. So if you go to linktr.ee/CheapSkateStreamer, you can get the links there to Telegram, Rumble, Twitter, Kick, DLive, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Buy Me a Coffee, etc. And it's all there. Let's take off the Linktree link. Guys, before I get into it, I just want to briefly mention that I think the next story that's coming up, or indeed the first story that's coming up, talks about a sexual assault on the London Underground. It doesn't go into masses of detail or anything like that, but just on the off chance that anybody that is watching might be triggered by that, you might want to skip the next couple of minutes, or indeed mute whatever you're listening on for a couple of minutes, if you might find that distressing. So here we go, we will get into it. This is a post that was actually put up by UNN, which is Unity News Network, and it says here that a man has been jailed for raping a woman in a brazen attack on the London Underground in front of other passengers during a busy morning service. A man rapes a 20-year-old woman on the tube in the morning in front of other passengers, and no one intervened. Ryan Johnston, 37, was sentenced at Inner London Crown Court on Friday to 9 years in prison with a further 5 on licence, the Crown Prosecution Service said. He was charged with rape, attempted rape, and 2 counts of sexual assault, as well as outraging public decency in relation to another complainant. Johnston sexually assaulted and then raped the 20-year-old who was returning home from an evening out with friends in front of other passengers. So I found the comments actually quite telling as well. This one from Wide Awake Media says, problem is the shitty excuse for a justice system in this country is such that if anyone had used force to intervene, they themselves would probably be sitting in a prison cell too. Probably branded a far-right racist to boot. Next one points out 9 years in prison, that's the problem, out in 4.5. He asks, where's the deterrent? I'm going to suggest that that commenter doesn't doesn't understand what prison is like to people who value their freedom. I don't know. Personally speaking, I would find 4.5 months a long time to be behind bars. But hey, each to their own. Now, this one I find quite interesting, and actually I kind of disagree, but I can see where he's coming from. He says every man in that carriage should look in the mirror and feel ashamed. So putting the blame on the male species there, so to speak. As this other one says, nobody intervened because all other passengers were foreign too. Well, there's nothing to suggest that this guy actually is foreign. He has a British enough sounding name. So, yeah. David Vance. Okay, having been on it this past few days, this is not remotely surprising. Right, a couple of my own comments, and it has been a long time since I've been on the London Underground. What I can say is that the last time I was on it, I felt as though the lighting in the carriages wasn't particularly great. The carriages themselves felt pretty lightly built, and the whole thing looked pretty old and fragile, to be honest. And you know, like if you were to stand up, I couldn't really see there was an awful lot that you could, you know, where you could kind of move about, or in fact even standing I felt was probably quite a dangerous thing to do, because the movement of the tube train felt quite frenetic. You know, it seemed to set off and run at quite a pace, and then it was stopping at quite a pace as well. So it's not a particularly pleasant experience to begin with. And then, you know, I mean, at the end of the day, law and order is supposed to be the domain of the police, and I forget exactly what, if there's a separate force that covers the London Underground, British Transport Police, perhaps. But you know, that's their domain, isn't it? They say here that nobody intervened. I wonder, do they mean nobody intervened physically? But you know, is it the case? Can you get a mobile phone signal on the London Underground? You certainly can in Paris, because they've made sure that you can. And you know, is it more of a case that whilst nobody intervened physically, maybe there were a dozen people on the phone to the police to try to get them to intervene? I don't know, and obviously they haven't said that here. But you know, in a basically, as we have seen, and actually, I mean, this is from a Unity News network. They say no one intervened, as if, you know, as if anybody you can't just go and intervene physically. You know, you have to if you're going to take on, I mean, you're going to take on somebody like this, who may well be a considerable physical size, may well be on drink or drugs, may well be quite violent, may well have quite a record already. You know, when you are in that situation, faced with the option of doing nothing and having a very high probability of walking away unscathed, versus trying to do something and potentially having a pretty good chance of becoming seriously injured or killed. It's and I say that, you know, you could be potentially seriously injured or killed in the event that you were less physically strong than this guy, that you didn't have any particular training in restraint or defense, self-defense, martial arts, any of those sorts of things. And actually, as somebody pointed out in the comments there, you know, you could try and take this guy on, and there's every chance that that you could then be taken up for assaulting him. So that there's, you know, to the ordinary individual in the underground, all those things are potential points of concern. Right, and I feel that, you know, I feel that this one in particular, saying that every man in that carriage should look in the mirror and feel ashamed, I just feel that's ridiculous. You know, at the end of the day, if you're male, you're male. It doesn't mean that you've got a lot of courage. It doesn't mean that you've suddenly got the ability to stop every other man from committing an offence, whatever that offence may be. I think I think, to be honest, this is the sort of thing that can happen. Now, I mean, here's an interesting point. Someone has asked the question, women in public are not safe in European cities, even with other people around. And the replies, let's just see here. So somebody says, I don't believe no one intervened. What I might credit is no one saw it, or he never fully got to do it, as they said, attempted rape and rape, which sounds weird as a charge, but that's media for you. I don't want to get into too much technical detail, but I suppose if I just point out the fact that in order to rape somebody, there are other ways to do it other than with a penis. That is the reality. So yeah, he may not have. He may not. It's difficult to tell, but he may not have, as this person put, fully got to do it. That doesn't change the fact that what he did do was probably extremely traumatic for the victim, and particularly so in light of the fact that it's said that it was busy. Now, I can agree that perhaps not very many people saw it because of it being busy. That could be possible. Right, Right, so this one I'm just looking at the other answers to this. Women in public are not safe in European cities, even with other people around. This one says sadly yes. That's an advert. That one says that's woke for you. Officially more important than Me Too. And here we have in Hungary and Poland, yes. So in Hungary and Poland, yes. Yes, what? Yes, women in public are not safe, even with other people around. Yeah, that is. But to be honest, I would say I think it's the same in France. Although in France, you would still stand a reasonable chance that somebody would just come up and slap an assailant, or start screaming in their face or something. The Parisian underground is a thing of beauty in some senses, and it has all walks of life on it. And actually, to tell you the truth, French or Parisian females, as far as I can ascertain, generally are pretty gutsy. They will not tolerate some guy being a dick to begin with, and often as not, somebody will be quite firmly put in their place if they're stepping out of line. Right, let's drop that down for now. That took a bit more of the time than I was really intending to devote to that, but I felt it was interesting, of note, whatever you want to call it. Next little one is a little video clip. I think we will just play this and we can have a little think about it afterwards. It's from TikTok, an account called Farmstock Official. Here we go.
Like all British farmers, I can smell bullshit a mile off, and none more so than at Christmas. You see, it's at this time of year that the big retailers spend millions on Christmas ads filled with fake farmers trying to convince you that they actually care about their suppliers and that we're all one big happy family.
But you don't need me to tell you that that's just more bullshit.
So I thought I'd set the record straight and give you a real, more authentic Christmas message from Britain's farmers. You see, all we want for Christmas is to be treated fairly for the food that we produce, to be paid a fair price, to be paid on time, and God forbid, to be treated like a human being. But maybe that's too much to ask, even at this time of year. So maybe I'll just ask for one of these, to make sure the supermarkets ain't the last things to fuck me. Now, I don't have an expensive marketing agency behind me or a choir version of a pop song to make you feel nice and cosy at this time of year. But like all good Christmas ads, I can portray a national injustice that's happening to British farmers at the hands of the big supermarkets. So when you sit down to the table this Christmas, don't buy into their bullshit. And just remember who put your food there. It wasn't the supermarkets, it was Britain's farmers. Merry Christmas.
Right, okay, so that presented there basically a bit of a poke in the eye to the supermarkets, and in one way I can see where he is coming from, because I'm led to believe that often as not the supermarkets give farmers a pretty poor price in comparison to the price they charge end customers. and I suppose, you know, with inflation having pushed prices of everything else up, I think it's fair to say that the supermarkets have pushed the price of everything else up themselves, near enough anyway. And as regards the cuts, if you like, that the farmers get, I have no idea if there's been any change there. Maybe there has, maybe there has not. But you could expect farmers to get a little more than what they used to get, and for everything to be adjusted accordingly. Whether, as I say, whether or not that's happened, I've no idea. But that guy there certainly appears to be suggesting that that hasn't happened and that farmers are not being treated fairly. There's actually currently still a situation in Northern Ireland where a great many people are lagging behind in terms of people that work in the public sector. They're lagging behind in their pay in comparison to what people would be getting paid in England, Scotland or Wales. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that there's no local assembly functioning here. But just as an example, I think currently, as compared to people on the same band as myself in other parts of the UK, I'm currently £1,200 a month. Sorry, not a month, £1,200 a year behind. And you know, things are expensive enough. To a certain extent, I'm not just a cheapskate streamer. I'm also very frugal and careful where I spend the money that I do have. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that I'm living in poverty or anything close to that, but I am aware that I have to be more careful with my disposable income than I used to have to be. And from that point of view, that represents a change. Guys, this next little video is showing kids receiving nasal vaccines, I think. And the channel that's from is called Agents of Truth. It's on Telegram. And the comment along with it says, all parents homeschool. This is what the devils are doing to your kids, and it has been going on in the past 2 years, in fact. Also be wise and don't use anything by big bad pharmacia. This should be a no-brainer at this point. This is no different than the and it shows 3 little syringes there. It says same bioweapon. Wake up and protect yourselves and your loved ones. Credits, it says RTE, so presumably this footage was broadcast on RTE and somebody has captured it.
This is the nasal vaccine. So it's, I suppose, administered into each nostril. There's a little lock here, so as I press the plunger, it will administer half of the dose into the first nostril, and as I remove the lock, I can administer the second half of the dose into the second nostril.
If food's kind of ticklish, it tickles.
Sometimes the child may sneeze or cough afterwards, but other than that, there is little or no discomfort.
Right, so there you go. That's presented as is kind of thing. I don't really, not really sure what to really say about that, other than that you know, if you the suggestion on the post seems to be that if you don't want your kids to be vaccinated, then you should homeschool them. And I suppose what I would say in response to that is, well, no, not necessarily. Quite frankly, at the end of the day, you will be sent home forms to fill in to either indicate that you consent or that you do not consent to your kids receiving this, and that's irrespective of whether it's a nasal or an intramuscular injection. I know because I've had to complete the thing myself in the past, and most recently I have refused them. After careful consideration of what was in the product itself, and taking account of my own child's personal medical history. And that's what I would encourage everybody to do. I would encourage you to take account of your child's medical history, to find out what is in the proposed, I'm not sure what to call it really. They call it a vaccination. You could call it medication. You might call it a product. But either way, find out what's in the thing. Take account of your own situation, and if you still have not come to a clear decision, or if you want more information, you could seek further information either through the school nursing professionals or through your own GP. This next little clip is, to be honest, it's a bit of a piss take really, but I thought it was quite hilarious in a sense. So, well, funny in a way and not so funny in other ways. Basically, we've got a guy who allegedly, supposedly, has just found a cure for cancer, and then we see the government. I think it was supposed to be a government response to his discovery. So here we go.
Touching me, touching you, sweet Caroline.
So, basically, his reward for having discovered a cure for cancer was to be assassinated, purportedly by the government. And I did find that one quite interesting. There is a sort of a comment, a two-word comment that follows the post just saying pretty much. No doubt whoever posted that originally had in their head the idea that the government wants to wipe us out. Okay, this last one actually I think is really pretty interesting, and quite frankly, I didn't realise this truth until I had actually seen this, and then I did a search for myself and came up with the same information. Let me just put it on screen first of all.
What is climate change?
Okay, so the comment that you can't see underneath is watch as Alan Jones completely destroys the climate change carbon dioxide hoax. And as you can see at the top here, it says boom, Alan Jones climate truth bombs. Watch as he completely destroys the climate change hoax in 3 minutes flat. Watch as he asks the climate change junkies what percentage of carbon dioxide is in the atmosphere. He gets silence because they don't even know, because they are simply regurgitating the government-fed climate propaganda. Guys, have a listen to this. Watch and learn.
What is climate change? I mean, I think the question that the young lady asked over here is very valid. Young people are highly intelligent, but I wonder whether they're being told, or which they're entitled to, all the facts in relation to this. When I asked, well, just around, Alice, you've been speaking for most of the night. When I asked Tanya Plibersek, was the Deputy Leader of the Labor Party and the potential Deputy Prime Minister, was carbon dioxide the big issue in relation to climate change? And she said yes. I then said, well, that being the case, what percentage of the atmosphere is made up of carbon dioxide? What is causing climate change? Is it carbon dioxide?
Yes, carbon dioxide pollution is a major contributor.
Okay, so can I ask you, this is not a trick question, what percentage of the Earth's air is carbon dioxide?
Oh, I don't know.
And I say, hang on, you don't know what percentage of the atmosphere is carbon dioxide, and yet you're prepared to stand the economy on its head to address a problem, the detail of which you don't know. So when I then explained that the percentage of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, Alice, is how much? Alice, how much of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere?
To answer the question, Scott Morrison has said he believes in climate change and that he wants to do something about it.
Alice, how much carbon dioxide is the problem? How much carbon dioxide is there in the atmosphere?
I'm not a scientist. I don't know.
Well, hang on. If you're going to argue the case, you ought to know. It's 0.04%. And of that 0.04%, human beings around the world create 3%. And of that 3%, Australia creates 1.3%. But if carbon dioxide is 0.04% of the atmosphere, and human beings are responsible for 3% of that 0.04%, and Australia is responsible for 1.3% of the 3% of the 0.04%, it's like saying there's a granule of sugar on the Harbour Bridge. Clean the bridge up, it's dirty. Surely if a political party doesn't know the quantum of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, what the hell are we standing the economy on its head for? Demonising coal-fired power, driving everyone into renewable energy, which is not available, not reliable and not affordable, plonking us in electric cars, giving us nearly the dearest electricity in the world when we're rich in energy resources, exporting coal so that China and India and Japan can have cheap electricity, and we sit here swallowing this ideological rubbish, putting industry at risk, jobs at risk, and burying the economy.
Okay, so there you go, and actually I hadn't realised that was from Wide Awake Media, but obviously from the tags at the end there, it clearly is. So credit to them for that. And as I say, I hadn't actually realised myself that that those were the figures. And do you know what? I was actually in some degree of doubt about it. And so what did I do? Well, I went and I asked Google how much CO2 is in the atmosphere. CO2 being carbon dioxide. And the response came back 0.04%. The current global average concentration of CO2 in the atmosphere is 421 parts per million as of May 2022, 0.04%. This is an increase of 50% since the start of the Industrial Revolution, up from 280 parts per million during the 10,000 years prior to the mid-18th century. I mean, you have to kind of wonder, well, how can they be so sure of how many parts per million there were at the time of the Industrial Revolution? And not only that, but what did the Industrial Revolution look like? I mean, it's not too difficult to think back and remember accounts of everybody with smoky coal fires. I mean, I can even remember as a kid, actually, just in a residential neighbourhood, that sometimes you would smell the smoke from somebody's chimney. Back whenever we had coal-fired central heating. You know, I mean, the air quality back at the time of the Industrial Revolution was atrocious compared to what it is now. And for them to try to say what the air quality was like 10,000 years prior is just nonsense, in my opinion. I feel to... I mean... Yeah, it's too far away. You know, it's too long ago. You can't quantify that with any certainty. I just want to see what the source is for this. I think it's Wikipedia. Now, interestingly, that image actually shows... Right, I don't know why I've ended up with that on screen. Okay. Tell you what I'll do, I'll open it in a new tab. It's a lot easier to do it that way. That image shows a seasonal variation. And the seasonal variation, so this is CO2 fraction in dry air. Goodness, is that picomoles per mole? I don't even understand the units there. And I think that would be important. But suffice to say, there seems to be a what I would call a 0.6 fluctuation in seasonal variation, just depending on the time of year. The worst, or well, the peaks, maybe I should say, appear to be around about May and September or October for CO2. So make of that what you will. Now, actually, interestingly, this graph, and that wasn't actually quoted in what we had read there on Google. This shows, and I take it these numbers here, 420 and whatnot, that must be parts per million, because it's roughly around the same figure. But the graph here appears to show in the 1960s in around 320 for the parts per million, and of course up to 2022, I think they said, was in around the 420 parts per million. So that would be a rise of around about, I was going to say 25%, it's more than that, over that period of time. And I would think that the degree of accuracy in measurement in around 1960 was probably quite reasonable. Now, that said, of course, where is this from? You know, where has this been measured at? Has it been measured in somebody's backyard? Has it been measured in the middle of nowhere? Actually, I'm just seeing that the text that I read out there looks as if that is what Google had quoted me. So yeah, look, there's a whole thing about it there. You can go and have a read at that on Wikipedia if you wish to. I just found it really interesting that CO2 represents only 0.04% of the atmosphere. I hadn't realised it was as little as that previously, and I suppose you can perhaps appreciate why some people are more than a little sceptical about what possible impact that could have on the climate as a whole. Right, that brings me to the end of the live stream for this morning. I will be back this evening at 9:30 with today's evening broadcast. It'll be the last evening broadcast for the week, because after that then we close out the week tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. And that's it then until Sunday evening. So guys, in the meantime, have a great Thursday, and if you're free, please consider joining me at 9:30 this evening, beginning on Telegram. We'll see where we go after that. Yeah, if you want to, you can catch up with everything on the Telegram channel, t.me/CheapSkateStreamer. Guys, thank you for watching.